All right, what's going on? We're going to talk again today about some frequently asked questions that we get from our youth sports parents. My name is Isaiah with I9 Sports. I got Cedric here with me, my partner with I9 Sports as well. One of the questions that we get a lot, Cedric, is for especially new parents. The question is, what sport should my child play first? And, once they decide on that, what do they need to know to be ready for their very first season? Because even if they played sports when they were a kid, for some of our parents, that might have been 10, 12, 20, 30 years ago. So things have changed. I9 Sports is different. So they might be thinking, oh, yeah, well, I played when I was a kid. Yeah, but that was back in the 80s and 90s, and that was a whole other world back then. So let's talk first. We'll go sport by sport. So we'll talk about soccer. So if I got a parent that comes to you and says, hey, Cedric, I got a 4-year-old that's interested in soccer. Is it a good sport for them to try first? And if so, what do I need to do to get ready? So let's talk first. Why is soccer a good sport for the very first time for a player?
That's a great question. And I think soccer is a really good sport to introduce kids to, especially at a young age. And that's part of the reason why we offer it to kids as young as 3 and 4 years old. Requires a little less coordination than basketball. Dribbling the ball and shooting the ball is a lot harder than just kicking the ball. Football, a lot more complex sport, needs some coordination to throw and catch and all of that. And it's a little more challenging. Baseball, I think, is a great sport for little kids as well, but it can be slow. It's just naturally a slow sport. Soccer is just running and kicking, and being active and moving, which is what little kids need and what they like to do. So I think it is great as far as developing coordination as well, kicking the ball and running and all of that. And those skills feed into other sports. You hear about athletes, talking about they got great footwork because they used to play soccer, And so I think it is an excellent introductory sport. Just some things to know about it is it's probably a little more physical than people expect. There is some bumping and and pulling, and when it comes to little kids that are learning how to work with other kids and learning sports, some of that stuff we have to try to manage, but it's just little kids. They don't usually hurt each other, 3 and 4 year olds.
Yeah.
So, but
and I think that's I think what you mentioned as far as why soccer is a good first sport. I think, like you said, the skills are simple, right? Mm-hmm. We're kicking the ball this direction. They know how to do that skill pretty innately. So it's the skill base to get started is very simple. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, the second part that why most people choose soccer as a first sport is the gameplay is simple. Mm-hmm. Hey, all we're trying to do is kick this ball into that goal. Mm-hmm. We're going that direction. The gameplay, the rules, the structure around it, pretty self-explanatory. But I think you highlighted a point that parents need to be aware of is, and why a lot of people choose sport that soccer as that first sport is, it's just a very active sport. Mm-hmm. So for kids who are very active, they got a lot of energy. They're okay with the contact. They're okay with someone knocking the ball from them or knocking them over or getting the ball taken away from them if they're trying to kick it. They're okay with just, that fun, rambunctious play. Soccer is perfect. We'll talk about baseball another day because I think baseball, I'm biased, but I think baseball is a great first sport as well. But I think the things you talked about as far as simple skill set, simple gameplay, understanding, it allows them to build success quicker, right? Mm-hmm. And feel comfortable to play sports. And then, then we're learning about sharing the ball. Then we're learning about teamwork because the skill and the game's simple. You can start focusing on those things too. But I want to touch on something that you said as far as if I got a kid who's never played soccer before and they're playing for the first time, you mentioned they need to be prepared for contact. It's going to happen, part of the game. What are the other things you think that if I'm a new parent, I got my 3-year-old going to play soccer for the very first time, what other things should I be thinking about doing with my kid before that first game happens on a Sunday? What should I be doing that week or two leading up to get me and my child ready for that first day?
Great question. I mean, equipment wise, you have to go out and get some shin guards. Again, there's contact,
Yeah,
and the kids are a lot of kids trying to kick at one ball,
yeah.
and shins are getting kicked. Everything is getting kicked, and
They're trying
so
to keep their
safety.
balance, so they're holding on to the guy next to them to try to kick the ball too.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, just having the right equipment, whether it's cleats or shin guards, things like that. And I think just if they're new, trying to prepare them mentally for what to expect, talking to them about what to expect, getting out there, kicking the ball with them a little bit if you have time. I think that goes a long, long way with
Yeah,
kids. I have two sons. One is 23, playing his last year of college basketball, and the other is 10, and grew up playing in I-9 sports, when he was like 5 years old, and he played every sport, in I-9, just not baseball, but he played soccer, and loved it, played football, basketball. I just, I think that me spending time with him outside, and before was a big help for him, getting him excited. So that's what I would recommend. It's really about their excitement level, to be
yeah,
honest,
yeah,
and their anticipation and enthusiasm when they get there that first day. And then we kind of take it from there, But if they're scared and don't know what to expect, and now when they get there, they're tense and they can't even really enjoy it, and they're hanging on the mom's leg and don't want to let go, So just the mental preparation and emotional preparation is what I would focus on.
and I want to get back to that part because we deal with a lot of that with soccer because we got such young ages. But I
Yeah.
think one thing that you touched on is super important, which is free play. Unstructured, unorganized free play at home. It builds confidence, it builds fun, it builds a skill set, and it prepares them. And a lot of times we think, oh, we got to get our kids into sports, let's put them into organized sports right away. And of course, as an organized sports program like ours, we love it. Yes, join us.
Bring them.
But right, exactly. But to get them ready, that unstructured, unorganized free play where, we just got a ball and a small area and pick a spot on the wall and that's our goal and let's just play, right? And then they get used to contact, they get used to taking the ball away from them, and they just get comfortable and confident within that. And kids go onto the soccer field for the very first time, or any field or court, without actually having any kind of unstructured free play or just play within that sport, is going to have a way harder time to just jump in there and get engaged. But I want to finish off with this one thing because we get this so much in soccer where a kid is just having a hard time getting engaged. They get out there, whether the parent helped them before the season or they didn't. There's some kids that just have a hard time, and new situation, new kids, new adults, to just get acclimated. I think one of the things that you say in our opening day speeches that I think is really important is just understanding that whenever we play a sport or join a program, we start something and we finish it. And the kids need to come with that understanding that that's the expectation. The parents need to come with that understanding, that expectation, and understand that their journey is going to be so different than the other kids around them. My first son, his first season of T-ball was tears most of the 6 weeks, and then the final week of actually playing. I tell that to parents all the time. They think they're surprised because I'm in I-9 sports. I've been coaching. They think my kids just be out there running around. But he was like that. He just was really timid and shy and, nervous, and he didn't want to share dad as a coach. And he had a really hard time. But we came out every single week, and little by little. For us, a lot of times parents think, hey, the first week, bad day, he was crying. He's not ready. Let's just drop out. But I knew that for us, we just kind of keep on coming. If we can get him to the point where he plays, for me, that's a successful season. And the final week of the season, he played the full practice, played the full game. And if it took a full season and that was success for us, was just participation, it's a win because the next
It
time
is.
he's ready. But as soon as you're like, oh, he's not ready, we pull him out, then they think, okay, well, I can just, do these things and I can get the result which I want, which is go back home where I'm comfortable with watching TV and hanging out and not do it. But I think it's extremely important that parents commit to it. They set the expectations for their kids that, hey, we're signing for soccer. We're gonna be here every single week. And if you want to just sit with me every single week because you need to, that's fine. But little by little, whether it's you or our coaches or our staff, we'll start pushing them out there a little bit. We'll start getting them ready. But yeah, I think that's something that you talk about a lot preseason, and it's something we see all the time within our leagues.
It is. And, I've seen transformations,
Yeah.
I've seen transformations, and not just little kids,
Oh, yeah.
but older kids
Yeah.
that have social anxiety or some kind of fear about trying something new and being around new people and like paralyzed with fear. And I had a situation, where my wife, who used to be out there every weekend with me in the very beginning, she had this one little girl that she just kind of gravitated towards because that first day her dad couldn't get her to go out on the field and she was like an older kid. And so my wife just talked to her, made friends with her, and then would go out and just kick the ball with her a little bit. And every week she came out just like your son.
Yeah.
And eventually by the end of the season, you would have never known that this girl had anxiety. She was
Yeah.
out there having a blast and really enjoying the experience. And, the same thing with little kids. They come out crying every week and eventually it clicks for them. They forget that they were supposed to be crying. They're out
Yeah.
there having fun, And so
You got to build those little wins. You got to
you
find those
have
little
to.
wins. We just had a basketball player this last weekend who he wouldn't leave mom side. And I pulled him over to me and said, hey, we're going to do scoreboard together. Help me do
Yeah.
scoreboard, and push the
Yeah.
button. And then he was getting comfortable. He was away from mom and
Mhm.
talking to me, kind of opening up a little bit. Fourth quarter, game in for 2 minutes. That was a win. Those
Huge.
tiny things.
Yeah.
And, parents were really excited about it, but he was really excited about it. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, next time if you come, we're going to do, you can help me with score, but you can only do 2 quarters with me. And the other 2 quarters you got to play. Okay. And so, just whatever it takes, right? Build those little wins, get that momentum, get them comfortable. But I see a lot of parents get frustrated when their kids are like that because they see the other kids playing and I think, they get embarrassed, they get self-conscious. And, it's complete every season. There's at least 25 to 30% of the kids that deal with it. Of course, more younger, but we see it all the time in the older ages. And it's just part of the experience. And you have to get them to build little wins. And like you said, you'll see those transformations.
Yeah, just have to remind ourselves that it's a journey and it's a process.
Yeah.
And everybody's journey is different.
Yeah.
And the process has different speeds, for everybody. And so just stay your course, stay in your lane, as they say. And the main thing is meet kids where they are.
Yeah.
Meet them where they're at, and work with them from there.
So to kind of bring it back, soccer is great because the gameplay is simple, the skills are simple. It allows kids, whether they're very shy or timid or very rambunctious, to have success in a sport like that. So I always recommend to a lot of families as soccer as one of the top 2 best sports to try for the very first time. A lot of athletes, a lot of kids, that is their first sport. We'll talk next about basketball, flag football, and baseball, which I think is a really good one, especially if you do have a more timid child. Baseball can be perfect because it is slower and it is more one-on-one. So we'll talk about that too. But anything else to kind of tie in or wrap up, why soccer is a great first sport and, what we need to do as parents to prepare our kids to be ready for their first season of soccer. Anything else we didn't mention?
I think we pretty much covered everything that I can think of, but just kind of circling back to the mental aspect of preparing them to come out there And just keep in mind that when you take your kids to daycare for the first time, you know,
Yeah.
or kindergarten, and it's natural for them to cry. It's the funny thing about it. Sometimes the parents are crying more than the kids, you know,
You're right.
dropping them off. And so it's a normal and natural thing for them to be scared when it comes to new stuff. As adults, people are scared when it comes to new
Yeah.
environment, you know.
Yeah.
And so if you're, keep in mind, these are 3 and 4-year-olds, and
Yeah.
so they're going to be intimidated, and it's normal. It's normal. So you don't, when you take them to daycare or pre-kindergarten and they're crying, you're like, I don't know too many parents that say, you know what, forget it, scrap it, we're not going to do it.
Yeah. I'll quit
You know,
work.
yeah, it didn't, school doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, it's not that. They have to just go through their process, fight through the fears, and realize that it's actually a lot of fun. And
Mhm.
you know, there's nothing to be scared of. And so let's just keep that in mind. These are little ones that are adapting, and they only been around a few years. They're still
Yeah.
learning, you know. So
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Cedric. So we'll talk next time about your sport, basketball, and that's always an interesting one as a first sport is people that play basketball. So we'll talk about that one next. All right, man.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.